Welcome to Odds.com's Tuesday night NFL opening lines show. Thank you for joining us. Great cappers ready to rock in the chat. And I'm with my guy, Rob Bebenek, our NFL expert. Bebsy, how are you? You're coming off a 5-4 week plus 0.49 units. For you, probably not very good because you've had such an excellent season, sitting at 29-13, 69% plus 13.99 units, ROI plus 33.31%, average line minus 112. But a plus unit, a week in the black is always a good week. How did you feel about your week 7?
Yeah, I feel good and bad. I finally understand the hatred Bears fans have for Cody Parkey. His missed extra point made that game a push, so that knocked me down a peg. Seattle just completely shit the bed in that game, and you know, it felt like the only time in the entire game that the Chargers lagged was just the right time to screw my first half bet. But we wound up in the black, so I can't be too upset.
And we'll go over everything that happened last week. As always, we can't promise you wins, but we can promise you honesty and transparency. I'm coming off a 7-8 week, down 1.80 units. And you know what? I don't know if it was I had so much invested in Saturday and Sunday. And Saturday went 8-8. And Sunday, I had so much money on the line. And my sweating buckets, drinking too much. And you won't believe this, Bebsy. I thought that I'd cashed my Carolina, New Orleans total. I didn't realize that was a push until later on in the evening when I got into a very angry place. Became very, very upset. But 7-8, down 1.80 units. We'll go over everything. But first, shout out to all the cappers in the chat. We have a lot of work to do. Thank you guys for joining us. Love all of your insights. We got Viper NB ready to go. Cash action, a bet, Steel Curtain. That was a good call on your Steelers, Bebsy. I was talking to one of our buddies, and he was saying, man, Bebsy just doesn't care what the Sharps do. He just couldn't care less about the Sharps. It's so dangerous, but it's so exciting. And great job.
I'm just not interested in the Sharps. I mean, why?
Great job with the Steelers. Everything, the whole market went against you, and you showed no fear whatsoever. Gerald Jones ready to get to work. Buzz Nuts in the house. Mr. Funmonk coming off a 3-0 week. There's Justin Betts. Dan Kelly in the house. Nutflush Allen. Biggest bet of the year was Packers first half. We were on it. The market, it was another spot where the market was going against us. Bill McHugh ready to go. Ziggo man. Dennis Garcia, you got to read Dennis's articles on odds.com. It doesn't matter what sport it is. His horse racing articles have made so much money for us, but 3-0 in his articles last week, 3-1 2 weeks ago. Our guy Dennis Garcia, Mr. Know-It-All, Slats 45 says with you, Rays first 5. Yes, I'm on the Rays first 5 bet yesterday, plus 115, but I don't care. Right now, we're talking football. Okay, I care very much, and I'm going to keep an eye on it. Dan Kelly, 29-13. That is filthy. That's what he's saying about Bebsy's record. It is a thing of beauty. But week 6 and week 7, you are 7-6, and you're up 0.26 units. So, the record is a thing of absolute beauty, and your disappointing weeks are still 500 weeks.
I told everybody to start fading me, so you can't get upset with me.
Dan ready to go. The Czar ready to eat. We've got so much work to do. They're swerving. Ron Walsek says closer to Breeders' Cup Friday. Yes, I will be live for both Friday and Saturday for the Breeders' Cup all day and all night. You know how we do it. A little picks ready to go. Dan Kelly says I haven't muted the Hoosiers to me. I turned the game off. Booked the 2-1 money line, lose next day. I couldn't believe that shit. Yeah. That was great. That was good for you, though. Okay, time to get to work. Thank you guys all for joining us. Let's do a quick review of what happened last week. So for me, I went 7-8-1. Atlanta first half minus a half. I cashed. Atlanta full game minus 2.5. I lost. Carolina, New Orleans over 51 was a push. Green Bay first half minus 2.5. I won. Green Bay, Houston over 56.5. I lost, and I didn't think I was going to lose that. Even with the 21-0 first half score, I still thought I was going to get paid there. Seattle minus 3.5, a loss. KC, Denver under 48. I didn't go for the middle when it went down to 44, and I'm still upset at myself. New England minus 2.5. I was so confident in. That was a loss. But I did even it out with the Niners, New England under 44.5. Chargers first half minus 4 was a loss. And then Chargers full game minus 7.5 was a win. Jaguars, Chargers under 49 was a loss. Bears, Rams under 45 was a win. Bears team total under 19.5 was a win. Panthers plus 7 was a win. And the late addition Raiders plus 4 was terrible. And that Bears, Rams breakdown, got to really thank the chat on that and thank Birdie especially. When we were breaking down the game, initially I was Bears under. And then we started talking about how hard it was going to be for the Bears to score. And that's when I moved from the Bears and the under to Bears team total under and the full game under. That worked out well for me. And that leaves me 37 and 34, 52.1%. I'm down 1.10 units. My ROI is minus 1.5%, 1.55, excuse me. Average line minus 111. Now we get to Bebsy. Falcons first half minus 0.5 was a winner. You pushed Cleveland minus 3. You cashed Steelers minus 2. You lost Bills first half minus 6.5. You cashed Packers first half minus 2.5. You cashed Packers full game minus 3.5. Lost with the Seahawks minus 3.5. Lost with the Patriots minus 2.5. Lost with the Chargers first half minus 4. And then cashed your late addition Chiefs minus 7, which was an excellent late addition. And
that just, as soon as we got all the overthinking out of the way on that Chiefs play, it just seemed so bloody obvious. They're just a considerably better team.
It was. It was an excellent addition. And so what happened in that late show, on that Sunday show, you add in a thing of beauty, and I add on the Raiders plus 4. So I'm pretty angry. I'm pretty angry after a 7-8 week. I had put my head over plus unit mark. I'm not anymore. So I'm pretty angry. Okay, that was last week. Now let's move on to this week. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Justin Betts says, looking for you to get hot to me. I'll be telling you this week. I want it so badly. I want it so badly. Okay, Thursday nighter, 8:20 p.m. We're talking Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. Atlanta 1-6, 1-2 on the road at the Panthers. 75 Fahrenheit on Thursday night in Carolina. Showers. 12-mile-per-hour winds. This is the first week where I see a whole bunch of heavy winds. There's some cold. There's some rain in the forecast. Going to be very important for us to break down. Let's start with the Falcons. Mistakes all over the place ended up hurting the Falcons in their 23-22 loss at home to the Lions. All they had to do was kneel a couple times, hit a game-winning field goal. They're absolute idiots. And it's not that Gurley slipped in. It shouldn't even have got there. It shouldn't even have got to the 1-yard line. I mean, who needs to be slapping people in the face around here? Because he's like, I slipped. I knew to hold up. Why are you even down at the 1-yard line? It's just, these are professionals. I don't know how they could be so stupid. It was unheard of. I just a pack of clowns. Now, it didn't matter to me. I was going to lose the full game. I'm just blown away at these ass clowns making these highly paid professionals making such dumb decisions. Ryan was 31 of 42 for 338 yards and a touchdown. Gurley went 23 of 63 for 2 TDs. Julio Jones 8 for 97. Calvin Ridley 5 for 69 and a TD. Hayden Hurst 6 for 68. Now Julio Jones with the hip injury was limited during Monday's practice. I'm sure he's going to be good to go. Russell Gage with a knee injury. Center Alex Mack, offensive tackle Caleb McGarry, and defensive end Tack McKinley are all listed as questionable. In Sunday's 27-24 loss at New Orleans. Let me move this. In this loss at New Orleans, I was watching that game in the first half, and I knew I was going to cash the Panthers plus 7, and I knew I was going to cash the over, and the over ended up pushing. The Saints scored on 5 of their first 6 drives, converted 12 of 14 third down opportunities, and yet the Panthers were still in the game. The Saints held a 9-minute edge in time of possession. The Saints never punted, and the Panthers were right there. In the first half, the Saints were 6 for 6 on third down and 3 for 3 in the red zone. So why is that happening? Carolina lost 2-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle and co-captain Quan Short, season-ending shoulder injury. Defensive end Yuder Gross-Matos, ankle injury. Safety Justin Burris, rib injury. They're all on the short-term injured reserve. They put cornerback Rasul Douglas on COVID-19 reserve. So that's 4 starters out, and then their top cornerback Dante Jackson has been in and out of the lineup. The Panthers are tied for last in the league with just 6 sacks. I could talk more about their offense. I've been talking too long. I want to send it over to Bebenek here, but the Saints, without their two best receivers, were able to abuse Carolina. Why won't the Falcons be able to abuse Carolina as well? Bebsy, let me just give you the market here. Panthers open up at -3. Now they're 2.5. This total's dropped 2.5 points from 51.5 to 49.
Thanks, Jimmy. Yeah, everything to me in this game screams Falcons. I'm ignoring records here, and it's almost like a gut thing. I just feel like this is the week. It's not like this is the week the Falcons turn around their season. They had an ugly loss this past week. I really just feel they go into Carolina and get it done this week. That said, Carolina, I think, is the all-around better football team. They're currently better coached. They're a little more well-rounded. They are at home. So logic says Carolina should take this game, but I really just believe that the Falcons they're gonna come out in this one and they're gonna take care of business. Logic says Carolina. My gut screams Falcons. I just really think they clean up this ugly mess of last week and for large in part their entire season. I think they just get it done this week. I think this is a divisional upset. My gut says Falcons.
You've not made a bet on a Thursday night yet this season. So
Thursday night football, I want it abolished.
But this might be a spot. Let's talk about the Panthers. And what do you think about McCaffrey? Because we have Matt Rule saying that he's hopeful. I have to see how he responds to today. It was great having him out there. He was on the practice field today. He said, I will say he looks good. He looks like he's moving around great. Just we'll let the medical people and him determine how much he can do or when he can play a game. This is a point where we should probably wait, because if they announce that McCaffrey's in the lineup, there's going to be money that's going to come in on the Panthers. If you look at what Mike Davis did, he came crashing back to earth last game. 7 rushes for 12 yards, 5 catches for 24 yards. They got Curtis Samuel back. That was a big help. But right now, Eli Apple hamstring, defensive tackle Zach Kirk toe, left tackle Russell.
Eli Apple has been released.
Yeah. Say what, my man?
Eli Apple has been released.
Eli Apple's been released. Okay, thank you for sharing that. At this point, let's talk about 2 things. Well, first off, do you think this Panthers defense is very vulnerable after watching what the Saints did to it without their 2 best receivers?
Sure, but we've talked about this from the start of the year. This is a vulnerable Panthers defense. I think they've outplayed their skill set, and now with the injuries piling up, it's really starting to show. But they're susceptible to any sort of aerial attack. But on the other side of the ball, is Julio healthy? I saw him limping around at the end of last game. I haven't really checked back in, but I mean, injuries are seemingly becoming a problem across the entire NFL. But yeah, they're for sure in trouble, especially with losing Short for did you say the season or short-term IR?
He's done. Season-ending shoulder injury.
Yeah, that's a big blow. I don't think he's the best defensive player on that team, but that hurts a lot. It's also, I say this week after week. I hate Thursday night football. I'm not interested in Thursday night football. It's home team or no team. I do believe that if McCaffrey comes back, now one of the things that his injury did is allow them to expand that offense outside of giving McCaffrey the ball every second play. So I'd like to think that even if they do bring him back, which I believe is if they play him this week, it's a mistake. If he's not ready, just rest him. It's not that important that he plays this week. But if they do bring him back, I think that offense will be better having played without him because they know what else they can do.
Okay, 2 important things are coming up here. The first is what Slats is saying. Slats says, cannot put money on the Falcons, most inept team in the NFL. They will always find a way to lose.
Not wrong.
Secondly, we have our man Nutflush Island talking about the team total for these Falcons. It's at 23.5. And that may be a better way to go here. It's just take the Falcons team total over 23.5. And the very important situation here is what our man Intex is saying, who will be live at the Breeders' Cup. He is saying that primetime unders are now 16-6 on the season, hitting at 73%. Do you believe that primetime games? Do you trust this trend of primetime games always going under?
Here's the problem with trends: is trends suggest that it can't go the other way. Like when somebody says, "Oh, this team beat this team 25 times in a row," well, that suggests they'll never ever beat them again, which we all know can happen. So if you just bet blindly on that, then I think that's lazy betting, personally. And sure, the odds are in your favor, but those odds have already happened, and it doesn't have any bearing on what happens in the next game.
Oh, I agree. All right, well, it's time to make some decisions. Let's take a look at where the money has gone so far. If I'm supposed to believe what this site is saying, it's saying that over 90% of the cash is on the over. Over 90% of the tickets are on the over, and yet it's dropped 2.5 points. I find that very difficult to
believe. What are you betting for an over in this?
This over has dropped, and right now it is 49 across the board. The first 48.5 has just shown up.
I mean, my instinct is to lean under, but with the injuries of the defense of Carolina and the ability of both these teams to put up points, it suggests otherwise. But yeah, short week. I don't know. I fucking hate Thursday night football. Thursday night football sucks. It's an inferior product, and that's why. Yeah, I lean under.
Well, I tell you what, I think that McCaffrey will be playing in this game, and I think when he's announced, those threes get back on the board, maybe even 3.5s. What do you think of that?
I don't think him coming back will be this incredible ceremonious lift to the team. So if that changes, if he comes back and you think it'll move a full 2 points or just 1?
I think it'll move a 0.5 point for sure to the 3. And then could public push it over to 3.5? I think it's possible. So a 0.5 point for sure, maybe a full point.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't even know if that would excite me too much about a Thursday night matchup. And I forget who said it. You can't really back the Falcons right now. They've been atrocious. I thought we snuck one out with the first half, and that was a 0.5 point last week.
Yeah, we were fortunate. I mean, it was, we got the last 14 points of the half, right? We were fortunate. Okay, my plan is this. I don't want to be sitting here on Thursday night with the bet on the Falcons, but if I am going to, I'm going to wait. And I'm going to wait till McCaffrey's announced in, and then I'm going to get at least a 3 or 3.5. That's my plan. I don't want anything to do with this total. I can understand that the trend of this going under is not just this year. I mean, we've had primetime games going under for a few years, and that's why it's bet down to 49. And I don't want, with the Panthers defense and the fact that if the Falcons do get a couple early scores, the Panthers are going to start airing it out. I don't want to be on the under. So say what, Debsy?
I was just going to say, I'd be curious to see what exactly the under the record is for the under hitting on Thursday night, because Thursday night is similar to my philosophy for the start of the year with unders. Is when you have less time to prepare, it always favors the defense, because the defense, they have their sets. With the offense, they have to get new plays in. They have to get timing in. It's more, the offense always needs more preparation. So I'd be curious to see what the record is on Thursday's hitting unders. But
well, I'll ask Al Mac, or maybe Intex has that in front of him. All right, there you go. Game on Thursday night, 8:20 p.m. Eastern. We have no move from Bebsy. The trend of no bets on Thursday nights is still strong. Is that confirmed? No bet for you?
No bet for me. At this point, it's almost me protesting Thursday night football.
And I want McCaffrey to be announced, and then I want to bet the Falcons. That's my plan. All right, there you have it. There is the Thursday night action. Let's move on to Sunday. Now, we're going to go down the rotation order, the rotation numbers, so it's going to be very easy for anyone to follow. We'll do the rotation numbers from now on. Let's start with the first one up, and that is the Indianapolis Colts at Detroit Lions. Colts 4-2, 1-2 on the road. Lions 3-3, 0-2 at home. See what we are dealing with here. Colts open up as 2.5-point favorites, and that's where they stand right now. The first couple threes have jumped on the board. This total opens up at 50.5 and is now at 50. Cash action bets coming in on the Lions plus 2.5 and the under 50. Colts coming off their bye week. Last saw them 2 weeks ago in their 31-27 comeback win at home over the Bengals. Rivers went 29-44 for 271 yards, 3 TDs, 1 pick. Marcus Johnson, 5 passes for a career-high 125 yards, second 100-yard game of his career. Trey Burton, 4 for 58 and 1 touchdown. And T.Y. Hilton is, Dan saying, is in the game in Detroit. Yes, Indianapolis Colts at Detroit Lions. The Lions are 0-2 at home. Trey Burton, 4 for 58, 1 TD. And T.Y. Hilton continues to be a no-show. 1 catch for 11 yards. He's just doing nothing. Jonathan Taylor, 12 carries for 60 yards. He did have 4 receptions for 55 yards. Darius Leonard missed his second straight game, and he is so crucial to this defense. So Leonard not in the lineup 2 weeks ago. Will he be back in the lineup after the bye? Offensive tackle Chaz Green, tight end Mo Alley Cox are all listed as questionable. Lions coming off 23-22 win at Atlanta. They were helped out by the idiocy of the Falcons. We already went over that. Stafford 25-36 for 340 yards, 1 TD. The running game was very weak. Adrian Peterson, 11 for 29 yards. DeAndre Swift, 9 for 27 yards. Kenny Golladay had a monster day, 6 catches for 114 yards. Marvin Jones, 5 for 80. And Desmond Trufant, Miles Killebrew, both missed last week, are still listed as questionable. Bebsy, first game on our Sunday card. Colts, Lions, take it away.
To me, this just feels like an easy Colts play. I like them coming off the bye. I like them rested, getting healthy, getting Darius Leonard back. That O-line is getting healthy, and I think they're a well-coached football team. Well-coached football teams coming out of the bye are very exciting, especially against not-so-good football teams. I don't see the Lions winning again here against a slightly better opponent. Quite a bit better opponent. This, to me, just feels like an easy play, especially – I'm seeing 2.5s here. That to me just screams Colts.
I at first I agree, but then I start getting these flashbacks of the Colts playing terrible. The first game of the year they lose to the Jags. They're down 21-0 to the Bengals.
We talked about that Jag game, and I think that was just people completely underestimating the Jags. They were a healthier football team then. We all know what Minshew does when nobody respects him. He puts up points. But this Colts team has gotten stronger, I think, as the season goes on. They figured out right away, do not put the ball in Rivers' hands. And I do think they ride Jonathan Taylor. I think that's got to be the game plan. You have those big hogs on that offensive line. Run the ball behind him. Let your defense get the job done. I just don't see Detroit being able to keep up with them in this one.
Yeah, they're 0-2 at home. Something is holding me back because the Colts are just so bad when I expect them to be so good. Do we know? The Czar is saying Darius Leonard is back. Does anybody else have that information? Anybody else know if he's actually back? Do we have any practice reports? Dennis Garcia says, "What about Detroit early? They always seemingly score first, and Indy could be a little rusty off the bye." Dan Kelly says, "Just bet Phil Rivers throw an interception." Yes. And Ron Crawford is on the Colts minus 2.5. So that's good company if you're on a move with Ron Crawford. Charlie Chip says, "Let's be honest, Lions would be minus 5.5 if it wasn't for their lucky win in Atlanta, Michigan." 5.5. I don't think. I think the Lions are a team that I want as an underdog, but not that I don't want as a favorite. Mr. Funmonk says, "I like Detroit. I'm seeing their momentum carry over from their late victory. Unless Indy being healthier is the key but off of a bye, they should be healthy. Well, Bebsy, do you want me to line shop for you on odds.com, all the licensed American books?
Yes, sir.
All right. We have our first play on the card from our Bebsy, and I'm close. I'm close to jumping on. I can completely understand the ideology here. All right, let's see what you are getting. And the 2.5s are juiced. Wow, the 2.5s are almost gone. You have a minus 2.5 at minus 120 at BetMGM and bets and points bet.
Well, let her rip, baby.
All right, Bebsy's in minus 2.5 at minus 120. Let me just see if I can, and that's at BetMGM. Let me see if I can beat that for you at Bet365 here. And I can. I can get you minus 2.5, minus 115 at Bet365. So let me give you that. Bet365. All right, I can understand you making that move. I'm interested in it.
I just think the Colts have a strong defense, a stellar offensive line, and a run game. And as long as they do not put the ball in Phillip Rivers' hands, their defense and their running game coming off of the bye can win this game.
Pie Guy says, I like the under in this game. Dennis Garcia says, feels like a good teaser spot, Detroit +8. And he also says 50 seems a tad high. What do you think of this total sitting at 50 if Darius Leonard's back in action?
I agree. I think if anything, this is them slogging it out. So I like the under here. I'm not sure if I'm jumping on it right away, but this does feel like a good, strong spot for an under.
It does with our man Al Cervic in the house. It does feel like a spot. I'm not going to sit here and hum and haw, but I like Bebsy's look. I like it. So I'm put a couple asterisks there. And I think the under makes sense. Let's see what the market is telling us about this. See if people are moving on this under here. Here we go. Money coming in on the over, 58% of the couch, 66% of the tickets, and yet it's dropped from 51 to 50. Huh. And Dan Kelly saying 0-2 at home means nothing in the time of COVIDity. Okay, I think both of those are interesting. And do you think that
I almost think the only thing you could look at right now with home and away teams is extended travel, because really nobody's making enough noise to ruin the other team's offense. So home and away is sure it's still a factor, but it is not what it normally is, and you can't really, aside from travel and especially travel in short weeks, I don't think you could put a ton of stock into home and away right now.
And do you think the defensive shortcomings that were clearly evident in that game against the Bengals are fixed with Darius Leonard back in the lineup?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think anything is completely fixed, but losing a guy like Leonard and getting him back is just such a huge lift when you have such an impact player, when you have a guy who really just makes huge plays, shows up all over the field. Yeah, that's, you take a star off of any defense and it's noticeable immediately.
And can I get any last minute info on Darius Leonard? Yeah, they're expecting him to be in the lineup. Okay.
Is Hooker back as well? I thought he was out.
Malik Hooker's done. I thought he was done for the year.
Yeah, so did I.
Steel Curtain says he's back. I thought Malik Hooker was done for the year. Sorry, that's extremely important. Why did I think he was done for the year, Malik Hooker? Yeah, he has an Achilles injury. Oh yeah, it's just a torn meniscus.
Oh, is that all?
Oh no, he's done for the season with torn Achilles. Okay, let's stop that. I know who brought up Hooker, but no, he's done for the year. Okay, I think that if I get a little bit more information on Darius Leonard, I will pull the trigger on the Colts and the under. And I think that it's fine to wait for that because he's that important to me.
Yeah, and I do really like that under. I'm a little bit apprehensive about it right now. I might, by the end of the show, want to jump on that.
All right, let's keep rolling. Nasty Nate in the house. Great to see you, Nasty Nate. And Mr. Funmonk says Everson Griffin was traded from Dallas to Detroit today. Yeah, I should have put that in the notes. Thank you. Alrighty. Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers. Vikings 1-5, 1-2 on the road. Packers 5-1, 2-0 on the road. 38 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 21 mile per hour winds. We have some 20 plus mile per hour winds in a few different games here. This is one of them. Vikings coming off a bye week. They were last seen in an ugly 40-23 loss at home to the Falcons. Let's see what we are being offered here. This total opens up at 55. There's 55s on the board, also 54.5. Green Bay is at -7. The first 6.5s have hit the board. And by the way, that -7 was at plus money. The first 6.5s have been on the board. Sean Dozier says, great call on the Packers last week. I ended up going 1-1 because I was also on the over. But Nutflush Allen, biggest bet of the year on Packers first half. And Bebsy, Packers first half and full game, cashes them both. Dennis Garcia says Green Bay blew them out already, but this seems too high for a Green Bay defense I don't trust. Jay-Z says it's Tuesday. I don't believe weather for Sunday right now. If worried, you wait. Jay-Z, I agree. Until this time of year, I start announcing the weather. But I agree. We should take the weather with a grain of salt, and I wait. I wait at least 6 weeks before I start talking about the weather in these videos.
I think I've been pretty vocal about how I feel about Tuesday weather predictions.
Yes, you despise them. You despise them. And that also was part of the reason why I wanted to throw them in for today's show, because your hate to them is so funny to some of us. All right,
Kirk Cousins like pissing me off? Is that it?
Kirk Cousins was picked off 3 times in the first half for the first time in his career. It was ugly. They surrendered 40-plus points for the second time this year after going 5 straight seasons without doing it. Cousins ends up 24, 36, 343 yards, 3 TDs, 3 interceptions. Jefferson continues to shine, 9 receptions for 166 yards. Dalvin Cook set out with a groin injury. He's listed as questionable. They need him back. And one of the reasons why we bet against the Vikings in that game was not believing in Mattinson. You know, it's easy to do it once or twice, but when you have to keep doing it, that's when you start looking. That's when you start realizing how hard it is. And Mike Davis is showing us that in Carolina. It's how hard it is to do that week in and week out. All right. So the Vikings netted only 32 rushing yards. 32 rushing yards. Mike Hughes, cornerback Mike Hughes, left in the second quarter. That injury had kept him out for 2 games. And then he came back, and then he left again. And then another quarterback, Holton Hill, was inactive for the second straight game. They're both listed as questionable. If they're not in the lineup, only 3 available players at cornerback, and they're all rookies. Guard Drew Samaya and wide receiver KJ Osborne are all both listed as questionable. Then we go to the Packers. Giant bounce back. Rodgers goes 23 for 34 for 283 yards, 4 touchdowns. And they beat Houston easily, 35-20 at Houston. They did that without their leading rusher, Aaron Jones, without their left tackle, David Bakhtiari. And they're both questionable again this week. Devontae Adams, 13 passes for 196 yards. I mean, it did help that the Texans' best corner got hurt right away, and Adams took advantage of it. Linebacker Chris Barnes injured his shoulder. Safety Raven Green hurt his oblique. They're both listed as questionable. Safety Darnell Savage, defensive tackle Tyler Lancaster, and cornerback Kevin King are all listed as questionable. What do you think of this spot, Bebsy, Vikings-Packers?
You know, I think this is one of those spots similar to the Chiefs-Broncos game last week where you just have to get all the bullshit out of the way and look at the fact that one team is considerably better than the other. The Vikings, aside from really 1 or 2 weeks where they played hot, they've looked terrible all year. They're struggling on offense. Cousins looks bad. They have all kinds of holes on defense. They have a horrible secondary, and what do you need to combat Aaron Rodgers? You need a great secondary. So to me, this, you know, at first I was like, oh, maybe this is too many points to give the Packers. But the more and more I think about it, like a touchdown, this Packers team is very good. And it looks like they reset themselves. Rodgers is back on that warpath. I really just feel like common sense dictates the Packers should roll hard in this one.
I'm certainly not going to take the Vikings, but I've been hesitant to back the Packers. And I know they rewarded you richly last week, and I did jump on for the first half because I expected the bounce back spot. But here I see a Vikings team where this is their Super Bowl. They're done. They're coming off a bye week. And I'm just a little hesitant. Let's talk about this total now, Bebsy. Open up at 55 down to 54. One thing that I was concerned about, and I messaged you with it when we were watching games on Sunday, was that I don't like being on an over when the Packers have the lead because they'll just run the clock, relax and run the clock. And Rodgers so good at that. This is a pretty high total. If the Packers do get a lead, I think it's pretty high. What do you think of this total of 55 now 54?
Well, yeah, I agree with you. As soon as the Packers get up, and they should, all logic suggests that they should get up and get up early, then yeah, they can put it into cruise control. They can run the ball. Even if Jones is out, they can run the ball. They have a talented line. They have a dump truck of a running back in A.J. Dillon. They still have Williams there. I feel like, yeah, that under is in play. The team total seems like a lot. I just feel like we could be overthinking this entirely with the Packers on that spread. It's just they're so much better than the Vikings this year.
So, are you ready to make moves, and what moves are they going to be?
I am going to take the Packers at -6.5.
All right. Let me see what I can offer you here. Let's get it up. The Packers full game -6.5. The best line I can give you is -114 at DraftKings and BetRivers.
Actually, what's just out of curiosity, because it's been working for me, what's that first half in the Green Bay game?
The first half is Packers -4. I'll see if I can find you a 3.5. The team total, our Nut Flush Allen's asking about the Packers team totals at 30.5. That's juiced to the over. All right, let's get you the first half. See if I can find a 3.5. First half. Here we go. Yes. Wow, it's heavily juiced. So I don't know what you would prefer, a -3.5 at -129 at BetRivers, or a -4 at -105 at Bet365 and PointsBet.
You know me, I'm a coward that won't be pushed around. Give me the juice 3.5.
Wow, that sounds like a coward that's being pushed around.
Oh, wow. What's your record?
Okay, I'm just saying that if you weren't getting pushed around, you would have taken the 4. All right, -3.5, -129. First half. Okay, first half.
Bakhtiari was out last week. I said it's not a factor. They're so good. They're so well coached on that O-line. And Bakhtiari is great, but it's just not the end of the world if he's out. That's how well that O-line is coached.
And you want the full game at 6.5. And that's at -114 at DraftKings.
I just want to ride the pack right now, and I feel like, again, this is a spot that I think it's just being overthought. I don't care that Minnesota's coming off the bye. They're just not good right now.
All righty. There you go.
Mr. Funman saying my worry is GB is TB exposed Green Bay's defense. Listen, Tampa Bay is loaded with talent. You can't look at that Minnesota roster and say they have anywhere near the talent that Tampa Bay does. It's just it's apples and oranges. Sure, you can. I could expose defenses if I had a healthy Godwin and a healthy Evans and Gronkowski. Look, we could put Nate Peterman behind that team, and he's probably still going to throw a bunch of interceptions, but I bet you get some touchdowns too.
And Godwin not going to be in the lineup, it looks like, this Sunday.
Yeah, he had finger surgery.
Yeah. All righty. I gotta stop saying already. It makes me feel like I'm at a
All righty.
cribbage game.
Let's get on to the next one, fellas. Let's have ourselves some fun.
Vikings, Packers in the books, and I've yet to make a move. Bebsy doubles up on the Packers. We move on to Patriots, Bills. Buffalo, 50 Fahrenheit, showers, 21 mile per hour wind. Patriots 2-4, 0-2 on the road. Bills 5-2, 2-1 home. Patriots coming off their worst home loss of the Bill Belichick era, 33-6 to the Niners. They'd gone 286 games without a 3-game losing streak. 2-4 for the first time since Belichick's first season in 2000 when the Pats went 5-11. New England was outgained 461 to 241. Cam Newton 9-15 for 98 yards, 3 picks, and then replaced by Stidham. Stidham goes 6-10 for 64 yards and a pick. Belichick said his plan is to keep Newton as the starter. San Francisco completely dominated them. First half, 23-3 lead. They held the ball for 22 minutes and 30 seconds of the first half. 301 yards to 59. 4 first downs for the Pats, 18 for the Niners. Linebacker Brandon Copeland, torn pectoral muscle, done for the season. N'Keal Harry, head injury, did not return. He's listed as questionable. Left guard Joe Thuney, ankle injury, questionable. Right tackle Justin Herron, ankle injury. They're all listed as questionable, as are safety Kyle Duggar and defensive tackle Carl Davis. The Bills only managed 6 field goals against the Jets. All 10 of their drives finished in Jets territory, yet they came away with field goals. Allen goes 30-43 for 307 yards. 4th time he's thrown for 300 yards this year. That is the amount that they've had the Bills in the previous 7 years combined. 3rd quarterback in NFL history with 2,000 or more yards, 16 or more touchdowns, 3 or more rushing touchdowns in the season's first 7 games, but they clearly missed John Brown. Cole Beasley goes 11 catches for 112 yards. Croft 4 for 64. Stephon Diggs 6 for 48. Allen rushes 11 times for 61 yards. Moss 7 for 47. Singletary 8 for 29. The Bills then hold the Jets to 4 yards of offense in the second half. But Matt Milano and Tremaine Edwards are not healthy. They're out there playing, but they're not healthy. Milano on a limited snap count, 19 snaps, so he was part of 33% of the defensive plays after missing 2 weeks. Josh Norman, hamstring still out. Wallace, ankle still out. Tre'Davious White and Cam Lewis are playing through injuries. Offensive tackle Cody Ford is questionable. This is a Bills defense that it looks beaten up out there. Here we go. Pats, Bills. The Bills finally get to play the Pats without Brady back there. Buffalo opens up at -4. Now they're 3.5s on the board. There's even heavily juiced 3s. This total's dropped from 45 to 43. Bebsy, take it away. Pats, Bills.
Look, I think a huge factor in this game is the Bills playing the Pats without Brady, smelling blood in the water, really, really wanting this game, because if there's a team in the NFL that hates the Patriots more than the Bills, I'd like to see it. I do not think the Jets and Miami have that same hatred that the Bills do. They have just been annihilated for 2 decades by this team. That said, the Bills gave me no confidence in their shaky win over the Jets, over the lowly Jets last week. I am not terribly interested in betting on them again right now, but on the other side of the ball, man, we could not have been more dead wrong. I was not even close to that prediction. The Niners came out, injuries and all, and absolutely dominated the Pats. Cam Newton looked lost. Cam Newton looks like his mechanics are off again, as if that shoulder is acting up. I don't know. I could be wrong. It just looks like his delivery is out of sync. He was throwing awful balls. 4 picks last week that the Niners got. I think 3 of them were Cam's and 1 was Stidham's. But even Stephon Gilmore does not look like himself. Now, mind you, they don't have much of a pass rush now, and he's kind of out there by himself. But that Pats team looked horrendous for the 2nd week in a row. So both of these teams are very uninspiring right now. For me, it's no play. I don't know. I just think this is a lot of points to give a shaky Bills team. But again, this Bills team has been looking for this revenge for a while.
They have been. And because of how bad they've played, we're getting a real decent number. The question is, why have they been playing so bad? And I think it's because they're beat up defensively.
They are beat up defensively, but they kept that game. It was a low-scoring game. Their offense, if anything, was the part that really made me unimpressed. That offense looked terrible against a Jets defense that has no one. Neither of these teams are really exciting me right now. You put a gun to my head, and I take the Bills for sure. Or you give me a free play, I take the Bills. But, I've been on the Bills so much, and 3 weeks in a row they've played bad football. And, yeah, a lot of it has to do with injuries. But, man, both of these teams are playing ugly football right now. The difference is the Bills are actually a good team. They just maybe those injuries are piling up.
Yeah. It's a tricky game. Both teams are playing so badly.
Yeah, I mean there is the idea that the Bills had a look-ahead game. They're like, okay, well, all we got to do is trounce the Jets, and then we get to have our redemption against the Pats. But it's hard to believe the Pats will come out that flat again. And I also don't think Belichick will take as long to pull Cam and put in Stidham if he plays anything like he did this. I thought he left Cam in way too long. I was surprised to see him roll out there for the second half because he was atrocious in the first half. I really thought we'd have seen Jared Stidham at the start of the second half. I really believe that Stidham comes in earlier this game if he continues to look that way.
If you want the under, and if it was available at 45, I would take it right now. And great call by Dennis in his chat group saying, take that under 45. He said it on Sunday. If you want the under, you better hope Newton's in there. Because Stidham, he throws the ball. There's pick sixes. He's out of control.
Stidham has looked good at times and he's looked bad at times. But I really think you roll out Cam and he plays like he did last week, then Belichick makes that switch a lot sooner.
Yeah. Whale Capper in the house, in the chat. Whale Capper, man, we need you here on screen. Whale Capper says he agrees with Bebsy. This is the Pats season on the line. Patriots, Bills, no move for either of us so far. I've still yet to pull a trigger. Robbie Tagaloa, the Samoan Thunder, says first half under. Bill will get the team together. New England will try to shorten the game and take away possessions. I agree with that.
That's a good look, yeah.
I agree with that. That first half under is Robbie Tagaloa is an excellent capper, so it's great to have him in the chat with us. We haven't seen him this year. Here we go. The first half under is sitting at 21. 21. Dan Kelly says maybe the Pats want a good draft pick. Al Cervix says that they're low-key going for Trevor Lawrence. Okay, let's move on.
I think Bill has way too much pride to tank. I don't think Bill Belichick's a lot of things, but I don't think he's a tanker.
Let's move on to Titans-Bengals. Titans-Bengals. This total opens up at 55. It's gone down to 54.5. Tennessee opened up as 4.5-point favorites. There are sixes on the boards now, and those are opening lines from Bet365. In Cincinnati, 48 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 14 mile per hour is the wind. Gostkowski's 45-yard field goal to force overtime missed right. Titans lost their first game of the year, 27-24 home to Pittsburgh. The D looked bad again. They allowed the Steelers to convert 13 of 18 third downs. Pittsburgh scored on 5 of its first 6 drives. At one point, Pittsburgh had a 161-1 edge in total offense. Steelers led 24-7 at half, 27-7 after their first possession of the third quarter. Tennessee came in number 2 in the NFL in total offense and points scored. Titans hadn't scored fewer than 31 points since that 16-14 win to open the season in Denver. Tannehill, 18 for 30, 220 yards, 2 TDs, 0 picks. Derrick Henry, NFL rushing leader, 75 yards on 20 carries. A.J. Brown, 6 passes he caught for 153 yards, while the rest of the receivers combined for just 67 yards. It was all A.J. Brown. And then cornerback Christian Fulton sidelined for a few weeks with a knee injury. Then we get to these Bengals. After Burrow threw a 3-yard scoring pass to Bernard on 4th and 1, Bengals up 34-31 with a minute and 6 left, but the defense just couldn't shut down or slow down the Browns. Burrow 35-37, 406 yards. That's a season high. 3 touchdowns, 5th game at 300 yards or more. Tyler Boyd rolling, 11 catches for 101 yards. Without Joe Mixon, they couldn't move on the ground. I was surprised that the Browns weren't able to stay in any kind of a 5 or 6 D-back package. If you know that the Bengals can't move the ball on the ground, why don't you just stay in a dime or at least a nickel and try to slow down Burrow? Bengals are without their cornerback, William Jackson, with a concussion. The offensive line took a big blow again. Offensive tackle Jonah Williams, neck injury. Center Trey Hopkins, concussion. They both left in the second quarter. They're both questionable. So running back Mixon, tight end Ethan Carter, wide receiver John Ross, all listed as questionable. Offensive tackle Bobby Hart out for a week. Bebsy, Tennessee, 6-point favorites on the road at Cincinnati. Take it away.
Here's my question, and I think that this will answer where I lie, but who on the Bengals defense can stop Derrick Henry? Derrick Henry still rolled against the Steelers. They were able to slow him down, but who on the Bengals can stop this guy? Like, he's an absolute machine, and he's just going to run the ball, and they're going to stick with that game plan, and they're going to tear that defense of the Bengals apart. Now, the only thing that makes me apprehensive about taking this is the fact that Tennessee's defense looks shaky. They look shaky week in and week out. They give up a ton of points, and we've seen Burrow's not afraid to throw the ball 60 times in a game. So if anything, I lean the over in this one. I'm a little leery of, backdoor Burrow coverage, but again, I don't want to overthink this. This is a very good playoff team versus a very bad, not going to do anything, had the first pick overall Bengals team.
Yeah, I just don't, especially early. What have the Titans been doing early all year? They get way down early and expect some miraculous comeback. And the reason why I don't think the Bengals first half was a slam dunk is because the Titans are coming off a loss when they fell way behind early again, and the media is beating them up over it, and it's too big of a focal point for the media right now. So I don't expect them to start that poorly. But I agree with you. This game is screaming over, and the weather at this point, it's fine. It is 14-mile-per-hour winds at this point, but it's not going to be snowy. This seems like
one of the reasons the Titans start so slow is because their game plan really is hammer Henry until the other team doesn't want to play anymore. You see so many guys week in and week out. Watch all of Henry's highlight videos and just count how many players on the defense of the other team make business decisions when that guy's running at him. There are so many guys who just protect themselves. And I would do the same thing. That guy is a monster. But there's business decisions happening left, right, and center with guys trying not to hit him. And quite frankly, that's second half of games. He's still got juice, and defenses are tired of hitting that
man. Oh, man. There's some funny stuff in the chat about weather. Man, Intex told me to wink once if I think it's going to snow, just to not piss off Bebsy. Dan Kelly says,
I'm going to catch on to that shit.
Dan Kelly said it's Tuesday. Do you want Bebs to walk out in the middle of the show? Okay. I think this over is screaming at us. Screaming.
Yeah, I think this is a double up spot possibly with the Titans and the over.
I don't know if I want the Titans.
Well, what about a second half only for the Titans?
I think that the Titans are going to come out strong. I really do. I think that they're if every article you read, and like I'm scouring articles for the 2 days leading up to our Tuesday show. Every article you read's about the Titans. Oh, their magic ran out. They can't keep coming from behind. They can't get. Every reporter in that locker room's like, well, you guys can't. They're getting hammered with this.
What are you talking about? They almost came back against the Steelers, a fantastic team, and a shanked kick from Gostkowski was the only reason they didn't push that to overtime. Like, that's a stupid take from all those reporters.
What, that the Titans are coming out too slow?
No, that they can't keep coming back. They did exactly that. If Gostkowski hits that field goal, I don't like the Steelers' chances in overtime.
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm finally in. I'm doubling up here. First half, full game, overs for me. 27 and 54.5. Nutflash Allen asking what the team total is for the Titans. I will get that for you right now. I'll get it for you, though, at Bet365. Team total for the Titans, 30.5 juice to the over. So that's the exact same as the Packers. Alrighty.
What do you have for points total? For the full game.
I'll give it to you right now. Let me just move over to total over under. I'm on the odds.com's odds page for the licensed books. And what's wrong with me? 54.5 across the board.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm going to give you a minus 108 at Bet America. All right, Bebsy's in. So Bebsy, Bet America over 54.5 minus 108. And I'm doubling up here. Double up for me. Okay, let's keep rolling.
I'm doubling up, but a different double up.
Oh, are you going to double? Are you going to make a move on the Titans as well?
Yeah, I want to take the Titans at -6. I think it's another thing where we could just be overthinking it. Yes, the Titans have played down to competition a lot this year, but they're just, especially coming off a loss like that, I just feel like they're going to pump the Bengals.
All righty. You're getting -6 and minus 105. That's also from Bet America. Okay, let's roll. Titans, Bengals in the books. And Magneto World says, come on, man, state your analysis and move on to some other games already. Man, Magneto World, if you were close enough for me to force feed my balls in your mouth, I would do it. And then I would take a sip of beer like this.
I think we should talk a little bit more about the Titans and just what we like about them as not just as players, but as people.
As people. Let's talk about it, people. All right, Vegas Browns. Raiders, Browns. Let me move over to full game. I'm on first half. This total opened up at 55.5. It is now down to 53.5. The Browns opened as 3-point favorites. That is now down to 2.5. Raiders 3-3, 2-1 on the road. Browns 5-2, 3-0 at home. 22-mile-per-hour winds are expected. 48 Fahrenheit showers. The offensive line that spent the week in isolation after Trent Brown's positive COVID test looked terrible. And Birdie said that. When I got all excited about betting the Raiders late into our Sunday show, Birdie was like, this is a mistake. There's offensive lines being in isolation all week, and he was absolutely right. They allowed 3 sacks, miscommunications all over the place. The running game struggled, and it got worse as the game went on. Right tackle Sam Young went down with a knee injury in the second quarter. Right guard Gabe Jackson was ejected in the third. That was a big I would have said it was the biggest turning point in the game, but that was 24-17. They actually made it 24-20 before everything fell apart. Josh Jacobs held to 17 yards on 10 carries, 3.2 yards per carry. They also lost he didn't play. Jonathan Abram missed the game because their safety had close contact with Brown on Tuesday. Carr goes 24 for 36 for 284 yards, 2 TDs, 1 pick. Aguilar continues to be Carr's favorite target. He looks incredible. 5 passes for 107 yards. Cornerback Keyshawn Nixona and wide receiver Brian Edwards are questionable. Browns lost Beckham for the year with a torn ACL in their 37-34 comeback win over the Bengals. After starting the game 0 for 5 with an interception, Mayfield was spectacular. I mean, he really stepped up in a way I wasn't expecting. 22 of 23. He ended the game 22 of 28 for 297 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. Rashard Higgins, 6 catches for 110 yards. Harrison Bryant, 2 touchdown catches. Kareem Hunt ran 18 times for 76 yards. The Browns' defense did not look good. The Bengals scored on every possession in the second half. Tight end Austin Hooper is doubtful. Linebacker Jacob Phillips and guard Wyatt Teller are questionable. Raiders, Browns. Bebsy, take it away.
Why don't you tell me how many miles per hour the fucking wind's going to be 7 days from now? Fuck's sakes.
It's windy. Very windy.
No, we don't know that. Nobody knows that. Anyways, listen, I don't have a play in this game. I'll get that out of the way. I'm curious about this game, to be honest with you, because there's part of me that thinks, and I said this at the start of the year with Cleveland, I think Odell Beckham almost hurts them because just the fact that he wants that ball so much, and I feel like Baker forces it to him. They did great without him. They really looked good, and I almost wonder if this is addition by subtraction. And it's not me knocking Odell Beckham, the player. It's me knocking the fact that, there's so much pressure to get him the ball. I wonder if this offense doesn't open up a little bit more in his absence. Now, having said that, the Raiders coming off a loss, they're still a good football team. Josh Jacobs is not going to have a bad game 2 weeks in a row. I just don't see it. So I really like the Raiders for that reason, but I want to see this Browns offense operate without OBJ, and I really think they could be better.
It's a very, very interesting take, one that Robbie Tagaloa agrees 100%. Very interesting take. Dan Kelly says there will be too much weight given to OBJ injury. Now that Baker Field doesn't have to constantly make sure that OBJ has his shiny thing to play with, the O will be better. So he agrees completely with what you are saying. This is very there's Lily Gunn in the house. So great to see you, Lily. Half of the Vegas Gun duo, Lily Gunn in the house. I think those are very, very good points. And the key point is that this injury to OBJ might be helpful to the offense. Now, I don't believe that they're better without him. But in the short term, it may help the offense. In the long term, I think it will hurt them. But here in the short term, and then what we saw from the Raiders is not who the Raiders are. It was just a worst case scenario. They beat the Super Bowl champions. They get this time off. They have the COVID issue. And then it's a total mess. So I don't know what to do. Do you agree with this total that's gone from 55.5 down to 53.5?
No, if anything, I think it goes over. I think both teams can put up points in this. So I lean over. I said at the start, no play for me, but I'm really curious about this. I want to clarify. I think Odell Beckham Jr. is a fantastic player. I just think the pressure he puts on especially Baker Mayfield is still a young quarterback, and he can get bullied by a guy like OBJ. Baker looked really great in that game.
Oh, the Jacobs props. This is exactly the situation. Robbie Tagaloa just saying Jacobs props over. This is exactly the situation. I mean, we talked about it last week, and it's at two different extremes. We talked about it last week. We said, whatever you do, not whatever you do, but we said there was guys taking the Derrick Henry rush yards over. It was 87.5, something like that. And we said, don't do it. Don't take a guy after a career day. Dennis Garcia went on the under catch. It's the opposite. Take a guy's props over when he has his worst game of the year. I think that's a great call, Robbie. a great call. Alvin Smith says, so why not bet, Bebsy?
Well, we talked about this. I'm a coward, but I will not be pushed around, Alvin.
Okay. I've got no move either. If I had a free play, I would take Raiders money line. Dan Kelly says Baker looked great as soon as OBJ was out of it. The play OBJ got hurt on was a pass that Baker forced to him. Brooklyn Funk Project, my man Pete in the house. All right, let's move on. We move on to Jets Chiefs. 49 Fahrenheit, sunny, 9 miles per hour in Kansas City. This total opens up at 48. It's actually climbing a little bit. There's 48.5 and 49s on the board. Chiefs open up at minus 20.5. That's down to 19 or 19.5. Jets 0-7, 0-3 on the road. Chiefs 6-1, 2-1 at home. Jets coming off the 18-10 home loss to the Bills. Gase handed off play calling duties to the coordinator. Low gains. That didn't help. It worked at first. They scored on their opening drive. They had a 10-6 lead at the half. They put up 186 yards of offense in the first half. Probably felt pretty good about themselves. And then 4 total yards of offense after halftime. Jets dropped to 0-7 for the first time since 1996. Darnold was 12-23 for 120 yards and 2 interceptions. Denzel Mims, whom we spoke of, we were excited to see what he could do. 4 catches for 42 yards in his NFL debut. Frank Gore, 11 for 60. LaMichael Pirine, 11 for 39. Defensive lineman Kyle Phillips out for the rest of the season. Carted off the field, second quarter. Brashard Perryman in concussion protocol. Linebacker Jordan Jenkins, rib injury. He's expected to miss practice all week and then actually play, but he's a big piece. And then Jamison Crowder and guard Alex Lewis remain questionable. Chiefs coming off, beating up on the Broncos. It was such a wildly interesting game, Bebsy. Can you imagine a team puts up 43 points and goes 0 for 8 on third down?
Wow. That's the thing is like the Chiefs are so adept at putting up chunk plays. So for the number of third downs they missed, how many times did they just, pump a 40-yard gain out there?
Well, I mean, they had 99 yards through the air in the first half, and they were up 24-9. And it's just, what do you do with a team that can – is that the Chiefs being good or is that the Broncos being shit? Mahomes went 15.
They're both, and it's ultimately what made us jump on this game is one team's good, one team's bad, but at the same time, like
you played the market like a fiddle in that game yesterday, and we watched you do it. You hadn't made a move on a Sunday show all year long. You see it go from 10 Chiefs 10-point favorites down to 7, and you pull the trigger on the Chiefs. It was very, very well done. Mahomes goes 15-23 for 200 yards. Took him to the fourth quarter, throw a TD pass, 17 straight game, longest streak in Chiefs history, longest active streak in the NFL. Mecole Hardman, 2 catches for 57 yards. Tyreek Hill, 6 for 55. Le'Veon Bell ran 6 times for 39 yards. Edwards-Helaire, 46 yards on 8 carries. Defensive end Alex Okafor, is now on the injured reserve. So they put him on the injured reserve with a hamstring injury. Defensive end Taco Carlton, offensive tackle Mitchell Schwartz, wide receiver Sammy Watkins are all questionable. Mr. Note, all talking about the 102-yard kick return. Bebsy, what do you do with this? 19-point favorites for the Chiefs.
It's just too many points. And, I would think to look first half, but I wonder if this is going to be a situation where, look, the Chiefs don't have to try in this game. They don't have to start Mahomes. They give him a week off if they want. This is just David versus Goliath, and this story doesn't end with the underdog winning anything. This is an awful team playing a great team, but again, it's too many points. I just can't see the Chiefs going full throttle in this. So it's 20 points. I can't get on this. Even the first half, I'm leery of because I feel like the Chiefs could come out real casual with it, and then at halftime be like, okay, shit, we actually have to score some points. But it's just too big of a spread to jump on.
Oh, agreed. In fact, I like the Jets first half plus 11.5. I don't think I'll bet it, but if I had a free play on the first half, I would take the Jets over the Chiefs.
Yeah, there's other bets to make, and this does not appeal to me. This should be a drubbing. Look, if the Chiefs come out and put the pedal down all game, this is a 60-point victory. But that's not going to happen.
Yeah, we know Reed won't do that. Does that put the under in play at 48.5?
Well, no, because they don't even have to try, and they can still put up 40. There's no play that intrigues me at all in this game.
I hear you.
All there is here is money to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the guys who watch me, they know that for whatever reason, I love having money on some of these ass teams. And the Jets first half plus 11.5 is appealing, but I'm not going to do it. It would just be ridiculous. Whether it be, I'd just be betting just for the sake of palm sweat. Let's move on to Rams-Dolphins. We are still on these 1 o'clock games at this point. We are making our way through them. Rams-Dolphins, 83 Fahrenheit, scattered thunderstorms, 12 miles per hour in Miami. LA Rams 5-2, 2-2 on the road, 3-0 at home, 2-2 on the road. Dolphins 3-3, 1-2 at home. Rams, I know that all we want to talk about is Tua, and we'll get there. But the Rams are on a short week, 3-0 at SoFi, 24-10 win over the Bears last night. Goff went 23 of 33 for 219 yards, 2 TDs, 0 interceptions. The rushing attack was very strong. Henderson went 15 of 64. Malcolm Brown 10 of 57 for 1 touchdown. Josh Reynolds caught 4 passes for 52 yards. Johnny Munn in for replacing Tyler Higbee. He caught 3 passes for 47 yards. Cooper Kupp went 6 for 43. And our Maxwell Smart is being taking these Cooper Kupp over 4.5 receptions week in, week out, getting paid with them. Shout out to our man Max. Rams led 10-3 at halftime. They held the Bears to 126 yards. Johnny Hecker, God, he's so good. It was the one thing I took away. I mean, I was enjoying every second of it going 2-0 in the game, but he's such a great punter. He pinned them inside their 10 with all 5 of his punts.
Hecker's been great for a long time.
You
talk about a punter's jersey you would want to buy as a fan. Hecker's one of them.
Yeah. Good call. Rookie safety Terrell Burgess taken off the field in fourth quarter. He ends up with an air cast around his left leg with an ankle injury, and Higbee inactive with a hand injury. That's just his second game he's missed in 2016. Now we have the Dolphins coming off the bye. Tagovailoa, 2 weeks to prepare for his first start. They were last seen in the 24-0 home dismantling of the hapless Jets. They held the winless Jets with a third down conversion until the fourth quarter. The teams were combined 0 for 19 on third downs until they got their only third down conversion from Tua. He went 2 for 2 for 9 yards. Gaskin rolling, 18 runs for 91 yards, 4 catches for 35 yards. Adam Shaheen was their best receiver. He caught 3 passes for, I should say best receiver, but Adam Shaheen, 3 for 51 with a TD. Jakeem Grant, 4 for 48. Devontae Parker, 3 for 35. Devontae Parker was their best receiver, obviously, until he got the groin injury. Then defensive tackle, Chef Raekwon Davis hurt his shoulder. He's questionable all week. I'm sure he's cooking up some marvelous shit, though. Linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel left with a concussion. He's in protocol. And Camus Grugier-Hill and Kyle Van Noy, 2 linebackers are questionable. All right, this is a very interesting breakdown. I can't wait to hear you do it, Bebsy. How are you handling this spot? Rams, Dolphins to his debut. Rams open up as 3.5-point favorites. They're now 4. This total has dropped a couple points. Actually, 1 point or 1.5, 47 to 45.5.
I don't understand the decision to start Tua right now. The matchup. I understand the timing. They're coming off a few wins. If they get too many wins with Fitzy in there, then the pressure is, well, why are you taking Fitzy out? So you have to make the move, especially because you get him after the bye week. I understand that part. What I don't understand is starting Tua Tagovailoa against Aaron Donald in his first NFL matchup. I think that's a mistake. I mean, we've seen time and again what Aaron Donald can do. He could bust through that line and ruin Tua's career before it gets started. I'd be weary if I was a fan of the Finns right now, putting up your rookie. There's no need to start him this week. I don't like that play. If Fitzpatrick was starting, I would be taking Miami in the points right now. he's not – I don't know what to expect from Tua. Nobody does. And that's such a major swing in this game. So I don't like it. I'm off it. There's the reason why I'm off it. I just don't understand it. I think, if anything, the Rams are at a disadvantage. They go up on the road to the Bears. They come home. They go out to Miami. That is a really difficult spot. But what if Tua gets destroyed? What if he breaks his hip again on the first play of the game? That's a downer to play for. I don't like the timing of the decision. I sort of understand it. I don't like it. I'm off it for that reason. I would love to have Fitzpatrick starting and take Miami +4.
I think this was a decision that was made before the season started.
Absolutely. And look, Fitzpatrick won 2 games in a row, including lighting up San Francisco. So if he wins another game, like i.e. you start Fitzpatrick this week and he wins, and then you decide you want to start Tua, then the fan base is going to freak out. But he only won 2 in a row. Then they have time to cool off because of the bye, a little extra preparation. There's the logic behind why they did it. I just don't like the timing of it as far as your opponent. Would you want to start your first NFL game against arguably – this guy could finish the career as the undisputed greatest defensive player of all time. He gets triple teamed and wins. It's insane. I've never seen a player quite like him. The last guy I remember, and I was just a kid when I saw him, was Lawrence Taylor. And Reggie White. Like, he reminds me of those guys where there's just nothing you can do to stop them. And I don't know why you put an often injured rookie quarterback out first game against an absolute fucking monster.
Yeah. Oh, I think everything you said is bang on. I don't know how you can make a real thoughtful, legitimate, edge-driven decision on a bet in this game.
We've never seen him throw an NFL pass.
Well, other than saying one thing, the only thing I could say is you could say Tua's had too much time to think about this. I want to fade him. And I would do that. I would probably do that if the Rams weren't on a short week.
Well, the Rams are on a short week with a lot of travel, and let's face it, the Rams have been inconsistent. They've looked good, they've looked terrible. Like, it's just an inconsistent team that's traveled a lot versus a quarterback we don't know anything about. This is to me, it's an easy pass.
Yeah.
Maybe Tua is incredible. Maybe Tua is better than he looked at Alabama, even though there was an absolute boatload of talent around him at Bama. But, you know, that's another thing, too, is Bama quarterbacks tend to not have a ton of success. Let's remember, like, Tua had Waddell, Ruggs, and Judy to throw to last year. Of course he's going to look good. Plus the best offensive line in the league. Like, of course he's going to look – maybe Tua is terrible. We don't know anything about him.
His brother sure looked terrible this past week. All right, let's move past it. DJ AK says Rams win easy. Alvin Smith said free bet it would be Rams. If the Rams weren't on a short week, I'd be on them. There's just too much unknown. Michael Irvelina says Tua is throwing at least 2 picks. You know, I don't know what it is exactly, but when these highly regarded guys come in, I want to fade them early. And I don't know why that is. I think that's just being like jealous of their incredible lives. I really do. I think that's part of it. That I just
could be. But I want Tua to succeed. I like Tua the person. Like he seems like a genuinely good chap. I want he's an exciting player. I want him to play well, but we don't know anything about Tua in the NFL. We know that Tua can win with an absolute all-star roster in college, but who knows? We also haven't seen him playing since a pretty crushing injury. Yeah, he looks healthy on tape, but who knows?
Let's move on. No move for us in Rams, Dolphins, Steelers, Ravens. Here we go. Game of the week. Undefeated Steelers, 6-0. Go into Baltimore. 5-1, 2-1 at home. 58 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 11 miles per hour. This total opened up at 49, dropped all the way to 46. Leading indicator books have moved it to 46. It's still 46.5 in most books. So it's going to keep dropping. Baltimore opens up as 5.5-point favorites. That's gone down to 4. Leading indicator books have moved it to 3.5. That's going to keep going down. Talk about the Steelers first. Pittsburgh converted its first 7 third downs of the game, scored on 5 of their first 6 drives, on the way to a 27-24 win at Tennessee. Let me ask you this right now. Is it because they took the foot off the gas? What happened, Bebsy? Why did they allow the Titans to come right back? Let's start there.
I think a little bit of taking their foot off the gas and a little bit of what I mentioned before with Derrick Henry. That guy wears defenses down. He is an absolute truck, and you see guys that just by the second half don't want to tackle him anymore. He is a machine. He's just a huge dude that runs into you. He wears defenses down. I think they got tired. I think they got a little beat up on this one.
I know you watched the Steelers closely. What did you think of their first game without Bush patrolling the most important spots on the defense?
To be honest with you, I thought they did a fantastic job until, like I said, they ran out of gas. But their fill-ins looked decent. They're not Bush. They don't have the big playability, but they're sound linebackers. And Pittsburgh always seems to have these guys that can play. They're not studs like Shazier was and Bush is, but they can still play ball, and they looked pretty good until they ran out of gas.
Pittsburgh improved to 6-0 for the best start since 1978 when they won the Super Bowl. They scored at least 26 points for a 6th straight game. Outgained Tennessee just by 70. They held NFL's second-best scoring offense, though, to under 31 points for the first time since their opening week and held them to 292 yards. Roethlisberger, 32 of 49 for 268 yards, 2 TDs, 3 picks. Connor ran 20 times for 82 yards. Smith-Schuster, 9 receptions for 85 yards. Deontay Johnson, 9 receptions for 80 yards. But the Steelers are banged up. They're banged up. They lost Devin Bush for the season 2 weeks ago. Safety Jordan Dangerfield, Chris Wormley. Everybody saw Chris Wormley go down, their defensive end, nose tackle. Fullback Derek Watt, Deontay Johnson, and cornerback Mike Hilton, all questionable to play this week. Ravens off their bye week. This means so much to this Raven squad. We last saw them also take their foot off the gas. Very comfortably ahead over the Eagles. They end up holding their breath and stopping a 2-point conversion to win 30-28 at Philly. Eagles came in missing 7 offensive starters, 4 offensive linemen, then lost 2 more during that game in Miles Sanders and Zach Ertz, and they need to stop a 2-point conversion at the end of the game. Lamar Jackson, 16-27 for 186 yards, also ran 9 times for 108 yards. The Ravens ran for 182 yards as a team. Marquise Brown caught 4 passes for 57 yards. Ingram, questionable. Defensive end Derek Wolfe, safety Anthony Levine, and wide receiver Chris Moore, all questionable. This is the game of the week, Bebsy. Take over.
I have a lot to say, and I don't know what my answer is on this one. So, look, first of all, I think whether Spillane can play or not, like we saw him make that stop, that run stuff on the goal line with Derrick Henry. That was impressive. And then he left the game. That's how big and mean Derrick Henry is. He hurt that other grown man who met him like a champ in the hole and stuffed him. That was incredible. That's also part of the problem is the Steelers just played a dogfight of a football game, and they beat each other up. They got hurt, and now they're playing a rested Ravens team. Now, on the other hand, the Ravens have struggled against good teams. They can blow apart bad teams, but they looked awful against the Chiefs. They look awful in the playoffs every year. And quite frankly, if there's a defense that's set up to stop the Ravens, it's this Steelers defense. Obviously, with Bush out, that's a bit of a hiccup. But I really look, if I could have got in at 5.5, plus 5.5 for the Steelers, I'm jumping on it. I'm a little weary about this. But also, it's a divisional matchup that could mean, at the end of the season, it could mean the winners of that division. So both teams are going to come out and play. I feel this is going to be a real tight game.
A real tight game which is why this total's gone from 49 to 46.5 or 46, and will keep dropping. A lot of cappers in here thinking about moving on the under. Did we miss the chance?
I mean, certainly 49 is a lot more enticing, but so is 5.5. I was surprised to see the books open up at that. I get it. They're at home coming off the bye. But to be honest with you, I lean Steelers and I lean over.
The Ravens team total. Asher D asking me what the Ravens team total is. Let me get that for you right now. I'll give you both. Ravens team total 25.5, juice to the over. Steelers 20.5, juice to the under. What do you think of those team totals? Are you surprised that the Steelers team total is 20.5, juice to the under?
A little bit. A little bit.
And then
I don't know. I think I like this Steelers team total over here.
So does Asher D. So does Nilo. Dennis Garcia likes the under until it hits 44 and says Baltimore should be 2.5-point favorites.
Here's if you're looking for prop bets, I say you look at Chase Claypool, who had 2 massive weeks and then an awful week.
Awful.
I think Chase Claypool goes off this week.
Minus 2 yards, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same idea with Jacobs for the Browns. And I don't have proof in the NFL. I have proof in NBA for my own bets that succeeds enormously when you have a guy that you believe in who comes off a terrible game to bet him the next game. Now, that blew up in my face in the bubble, but that was a very small sample size. I agree.
I want to take the Steelers in this game. I really do. I wish I could have jumped on this at 5.5. The Steelers suck, Jets fan. Well, all you're doing is perpetuating the stereotype that Jets fans are morons. But the team total over seems like a real nice play right now.
Oh, man, there's some good stuff. Good stuff here. Intex says depends on the weather also. If you could predict that on a Tuesday.
Yeah, do we have any idea how many minutes the sun will shine through the clouds?
Oh, man. Okay, well, a lot of the chat likes this Steelers team total over. At 20.5, it makes sense to me. The only thing, though, and the only reason why I would say to pump your brakes on it is this total is going to keep dropping. So
you think?
I do. I think this. So, but we'll see. I mean, these are all just educated guesses. But so we're sitting at what 46.5 across the board. One leading indicator book has dropped it to 46. So yes, I think it goes to 45.5. I bet you it's at 45 by Sunday.
I think I want that Steelers team total over.
Do you want it now?
I think I do.
Well, you do have a nice because Bet365 will screw you on the team props juice. They'll do it minus 120 each way. They took a lot of heat for it. They've cut 5 cents off of it. So now it's like 35 cents, But the over 20.5 right now is at minus 110. And Bebsy's on it. This is going to be a spot that's going to require a little bit more time. Thought. Dan Kelly says, "Tell him, Jimmy, it's going to keep dropping because of the weather." Okay, let's just move past it.
I need to know an accurate consensus weather report right now. What is the weather?
They're liking this more than your hatred of Brady right now. Your hatred of early weather.
I don't hate Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady's an excellent quarterback. He's top 20 QB all time, easy.
Those are your 1 o'clock games right now. Bebsy, quickly, is there a 1 o'clock spot that jumps out at you the most? I'm going to review your 1 o'clock plays right now. You are on Steelers team total over 20.5. You stayed off Rams Dolphins. You stayed off Chiefs Jets. You stayed off Raiders Browns. So we just have that Steelers team total over. You moved on the Titans -6 full game and the over 54.5 in Titans Bengals. You moved on. Oh no, you stayed off Pats Bills. Sorry, I just have pages of notes. You moved on you doubled up on the Packers. First half, full game. And you took the Colts -2.5. What is your favorite look on the 1 o'clock games at this point?
Right now, I really I like Green Bay, especially Green Bay first half 3.5. I just think they're just a considerably better football team right now. They're playing at home against just a dog shit team. So I really like Green Bay right now. That's what I'm most comfortable with.
Alrighty. Oh, I said already again. Packers first half -3.5. A best bet for our man Bebsy on the 1 o'clock games. We'll see if it's best bet on the full games. Let's move to afternoon action right now. We're going to start with
I think Nilo is saying that Tom Brady doesn't belong in the top 20 of all time. You think 20 quarterbacks are better than Tom Brady? Come on, Nilo. Now you're being ridiculous. Yes, let's move on, Jimmy. Let's get into the afternoon games.
Let's do it, my friend.
These guys get so wound up over Brady. It's adorable.
4:05 p.m. Eastern. We're starting Chargers, Broncos, 57 Fahrenheit, sunny, 5 miles per hour. Let's see what we are getting for a line. Chargers open up as 1-point favorites. There are now threes right across the board, and these threes are juiced. This total opened up at 44.5. We've now seen it drop a half point to 40. Chargers snapped their 4-game losing streak with a 39-29 win over the Jaguars. Squandered double-digit lead for the 4th time in 5 games. Did not allow a first down on Jacksonville's first 4 drives before penalties, missed tackles, blocked punt, allowed the Jaguars to take a 21-16 lead in the third. Jacksonville 29-22 lead late in the third quarter, and the Chargers took over, scored the final 17 points. Herbert, third 300-yard passing game. He also rushed for a career-high 66 yards. Joshua Kelly and Justin Jackson continued to do nothing at all. So it was a pretty simple reason why Herbert ran for 66 yards. They couldn't move the ball on the ground, so they were consistently going into pass plays and 4 wide sets. And then if everybody was covered, the only other option was for Herbert to run. If that continues, what you have to imagine with how bad Joshua Kelly and Justin Jackson are playing, they average 2.4 yards a carry, then we should probably go right back to the well on Herbert rush props. They need Eckler back badly. Herbert also throwing a deep ball exceptionally well. 9 of 18, 569 yards, 4 touchdowns in his past 3 games on passes over 20 yards. Melvin Ingram returned. He was expected to see limited snaps. He did come in for 43 of 68 plays. Virgil Green is going to miss the next 2 games due to a sprained ankle. Then we get to the Broncos coming off that ugly 43-16 loss. Kansas City had a 24-9 halftime lead, even though Mahomes had just completed 1 pass. But 1 pass in the second quarter. 99 yards through the air in the first half. Chiefs had touchdowns on Pringle's 102-yard kickoff return, Sorensen's 50-yard interception return, and then Allaire 11-yard run. Locke went 24-40 for 250 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The game marked the first time that Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay were both healthy, and then Lindsay goes out with a concussion. Lindsay looked great, 79 yards rushing before his concussion. Then Gordon takes over and looks terrible, fumbling the ball, playing poorly. Lindsay concussion, defensive lineman Shelby Harris wrist injury, wide receiver Tim Patrick has been so good dealing with a hamstring injury, defensive lineman Mike Purcell foot, and defensive end Derek Tuska hamstring injury. Bebsy, take it away. Chargers, Broncos.
First of all, Melvin Gordon is not a good running back. If you watch even his highlight reel, there's nothing special. All that guy does is hit holes and run for his highlight reel. He doesn't make people miss. He doesn't break tackles. He's not an impressive runner. So not having Lindsey and having him is bad. He's just not a great player. I just love the way Justin Herbert is playing week in, week out. He looks great. Fangio knows how to coach a defense, and they still have some players on that defense in Denver, but I just don't know who stops them right now. Am I crazy to like the Chargers in this one? It just feels like this could be another situation where the Chargers are just top to bottom a better football team.
I agree, but we know Fangio does one thing well, and that's prepares a team defensively. And it wasn't their defense that got slaughtered by the Chiefs in that loss. And if you know that the Chargers have no running game whatsoever, don't you find a pretty simple way to defend them?
Yeah. The problem is that I don't see anybody on Denver putting up points. Judy has really underwhelmed considering the hype around him. At times he looks great. Hamler, I believe, is still out. They really miss Cortland Sutton. Drew Lock looks pedestrian. Herbert, first of all, Herbert can run the ball. Yeah, Alvin Smith, I lost the first half bet. They were up 16-0. I thought it was easy.
Well, first off, I think Herbert's going to get his again on the ground. I'll have to wait to see what that prop is. And also, I'm 0-3 in props this year, so take that with a grain of salt. And then we just watched the Broncos lose 43-16 when everything went wrong outside of the regular play calling. It was there was a 102-yard run back. I mean, Mahomes wasn't beating them up. I think this is tricky. I think the public sees that 1.5, and it automatically says Chargers are a better team. But Fangio only does one thing well, and this is set up perfectly for him to do that thing well. That's the only thing. That's the only reason why I'm not jumping with you, because I agree with you. I think the Chargers make sense. Chargers are a better football team than the Broncos. That's the only thing that's kind of slowing me down. And it's going to be beautiful on Sunday. Warm for Denver this time of year.
Tell me about the weather.
I don't know. But I can understand you making a move on the Chargers. They're a better football team. But Slat says Lindsey being out is huge.
Lindsey being out is huge. They don't have another running back.
Well, they have the booze bag and Melvin Gordon.
I don't think Melvin Gordon's a good running back at all. I really like, the now Herbert's got a taste for winning.
We don't know for certain that Lindsey's out. He's in concussion protocol.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm lukewarm on the Chargers in this. That's the problem. Is I'm not definitive. I'm not like, yes, bang the drum on the Chargers here. Again, because they're going into Mile High. The weather is unpredictable. I especially hate predicting the weather in Mile High like 5 days out. We have no idea. Weather changes every 20 minutes at that altitude. Nobody knows. I really like Herbert in this game. He's been great week in and week out. I haven't been betting him. I bet him last week, and I just bet the wrong time. The points totaled up to what should have been a win. They were up 16-0. They gave up 2 scores late in the first half. I really like what Justin Herbert's doing. I think Eckler missing is real trouble, but they still have a ton of weapons on that offense. That man, Mike Williams is finally kind of every now and then flashing what he did at Clemson, and I think a lot of that has to do with Herbert.
Yeah. I just feel like they're pretty easy to defend right now. That's my only issue. Pretty easy to defend.
Al Cervic thinks we're overthinking it, and I think we might be overthinking it too. Sometimes you just got to look at what team is better.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Dennis Garcia said he was going to play the Chargers. Decided to wait for no good reason. Now the number's gone. Pass.
How much has that changed?
Oh, it's changed because I might have to reach to get you a 2.5. Oh yeah, it's changed. It's now heavily juiced to threes. We'll see 3.5 soon. And I tell you what, when we see 3.5s, I might turn around and take the Broncos.
This open at a pick'em too?
No, it opened at -1. Oh yeah, probably pick them at some books. Bet 365 at a -1 and -115.
Ugh. Yeah, I might have been talked out of this. Thanks to Dennis Garcia there. That's a good call, Dennis.
Alrighty. Let's move. Let's move on. Let's move past this. We move to 425 action. Saints, Bears, 41 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 16 miles per hour is the expected wind. Saints 4-2, 1-1 on the road. Bears 5-2, 2-1 at home. Let's see what we are dealing with here. Saints open up at -4. That's where they stand now. The total opened up at 46. It's now dropped all the way to 44. But the leading indicator books are still hanging the hook for what that's worth. They're still hanging 44.5. Saints coming off 27-24 win at home over the Panthers. Breeze 29-36, 287 yards, 2 TDs. That was without Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. Kamara, we talked about taking the Kamara reception prop. It's at like 56.5. And I got off it because everyone's like, well, he's going to be their only weapon. And they defended it pretty well. He caught 8 passes for 65 yards. He still got over it. I didn't bet it. Kamara ran 14 times for 83 yards. Saints scored on 5 of their first 6 drives, 12 of 14 third down opportunities, scored on all 3 trips in the red zone, held a 9-minute edge in time of possession, never punted in that first half. They were 6 for 6 on third downs, 3 for 3 in the red zone. Michael Thomas injured, Emmanuel Sanders on COVID list, and now Marquez Callaway diagnosed with a minor ankle sprain. Offensive tackle Terran Armstead and center Nick Eaton remain questionable. Bears are on a short week after ugly 24-10 loss at the Rams. Bears offense put up 279 yards and 3 points. They were outscored by their defense. Foles 28 for 40 for 261, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. Foles' last 4 games, Bears are averaging 16 points per game, sacked 4 times. They rushed as a team for 2.9 yards per carry. That was why we said they're not going to be able to score. They managed 49 yards rushing. They have 175 yards on the ground the past 4 games. Allen Robinson, the only guy doing anything for them offensively, concussion, left the game in the 4th quarter after 70 yards receiving. Their center, Cody Whitehair, injured his calf in the second half. He's listed as questionable. Safety, Sherrick McManus, missed last game, questionable to play this game. Bebsy, here we go. Saints, Bears, take it away.
This is another tough spot because it's 2 unpredictable teams for me. I look again at where do the Bears get points? The Saints defense obviously not as good as the Bears defense, but they still have they are on par with the Rams defense. I think they don't have an Aaron Donald, but they still have a lot of playmakers. I just don't see how the Bears move the ball. I think it's a really tough spot for the Bears to score again. But both these teams are pretty unpredictable. We've seen the Saints struggle against bad teams. We've seen them. They stepped up great last week. I just don't know how I feel about this game, to be honest with you. There's nothing that jumps out to me, at least with regards to who wins and who loses. Obviously, the logic dictates that you should just jump on the Saints, but I'm not super comfortable in making that choice.
Yeah, and I need to know that Marquez Callaway is good to go or that Emmanuel Sanders is back off the COVID list, which is the most likely. And Emmanuel Sanders is back off the – I mean, the Michael Thomas injuries aren't big injuries. We don't know what's going on. I mean, he punched the guy in practice.
Michael Thomas might not be on the Saints at the end of this week, the way they're talking about him. I don't think you trade a player like that, especially, with turmoil around him. That's selling low. It's a bad decision, but it's calling him can't stand Mike in the locker room. That's not good.
No, and they need Sanders back.
Yeah, desperately. They're not going to be able to exploit the Bears defense without those guys.
We deal with these biases and they affect us so heavily when we handicap, and we just watched the Bears do squat ass nothing, and clearly that makes me want to move on the under. New Orleans did everything they wanted, got everything they wanted, and still couldn't put up that many points. It feels like this is a spot for an under. Opens at 46, drops to 44. I mean,
what's the Chicago team total under?
Yeah, so I bet that on our Tuesday show at 19.5. By the time Monday night rolled around, it was a 17.5, and it was heavily juiced to the under. And that was just a walk in the park. Let's see, the team total for the Bears right now is 19.5.
I think there's a play. I just don't see how that Bears offense moves the ball, especially if Robinson's not playing.
I hear what you're saying, and I don't dislike the play. My only question is that Panthers offense is not good, and it wasn't good without McCaffrey, and yet they were going.
I disagree. They've been able to move the ball without McCaffrey. They've looked decent. Robbie Anderson has looked well up until Mike Davis took a step back, but for a couple of weeks they still have more. They still have Robbie Anderson, who's really, really looking a lot better now that he's away from the Jets. So I don't know if I agree with you there. I think the Panthers have a very solid offense.
The Panthers couldn't move the ball on the ground. They could only move the ball in the air. You should be able to put a defensive schemes to stop that from happening. And the Saints were incapable of doing that. The Panthers had the ball for 10 minutes of the first half and put up 17 points?
So wait, are you arguing the same point as me here? I'm saying the Bears.
I'm saying the Panthers offense is not very good and the Saints defense was terrible. That's what I'm saying.
I disagree. I think the Panthers offense has played well for most of this season, even the absence of CMC being out.
I was with that as well. But last week, 48 hours ago, the Saints defense couldn't stop the Panthers at all, and the Panthers couldn't get a yard on the ground. And that, to me, isn't saying, oh, man, that Panthers offense is so good. Although I agree, they got Samuel back. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson look great. I think that's more on the Saints defense being bad, personally.
So wait, you're saying the Panthers are bad, but also the Saints defense are bad?
No, I'm saying the Saints defense was very bad against the mediocre Panthers offense. And that's what I think of the Panthers offense. I think it's meaty fucking ochre. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, then by comparison, how bad are the Bears offense? Bears offense are atrocious, and they just lost their best player.
I'm just saying that the 19.5 isn't a gift.
I didn't say it was a gift. I'm just saying I feel like that's a play. I didn't say guaranteed book it, bet $1 billion on it. I'm saying there's a play in there. And especially because that shit that came out with Foles calling out Matt Nagy, saying this guy's calling plays that I know in the huddle I don't have enough time to get off. And then that got called out after the game, and then now they're arguing, not arguing.
I hear you. And you remember as soon as McCaffrey got hurt, I was here on the show saying Panthers still have weapons.
Yeah, and I was the opposite, and I was dead wrong.
And now watching that Saints Panthers game, I couldn't believe the Saints couldn't scheme to stop the Panthers. It just seemed very simple to me when Davis couldn't move the ball on the ground. It just seemed like that's the reason why I think that the Broncos should have a way to stop the Chargers. It's the same reason why I think the Saints should have been able to stop the Panthers. That's what I'm saying. Look, I loved the team total under on the Bears last week. I just don't know. Alvin Smith says Bears can't score 17 points. Look, if you want to jump on this team total under, I get it. It's 19.5 at -120 at Bet365 right now. You want it?
Yeah, I think I do. If anything, just to do this in spite of you.
Hey, God bless you.
It's not that I don't love you, Jimmy.
No, I get it. Look, I don't think it's a bad spot at all. I couldn't understand, and I wanted points. I wanted points in that
game.
It's
my first spite bet.
I get it. All right.
And it's not going to hit. I don't thrive in spite. Fade me on this, take the over, everyone else, but I'm taking the under.
Bears team total under 19.5. So if that's the case, you think the Bears are going to score under 19.5. You think the Bears are also going to, and you're not taking New Orleans -4. That means that you think the Bears are going to help slow down the New Orleans offense. Why aren't you taking the full game under 44 or 44.5?
Don't tell me how to live.
I'm not going to. I'm just questioning why you're not doing it.
Because I think that Saints offense, especially if Sanders and Thomas are deemed ready to play this week, then you could see them open it up. The problem with the Bears defense, look, they gave up a lot of points this week. It's because they couldn't get off the field in the sense that their offense couldn't stay on the field. So even if your defense is great and your offense is atrocious, eventually the D wears down.
I hear you. All right. We have a move for Bebsy on the team total under 19.5 for the Bears. Look, man, Dan Kelly's saying I never saw this judgmental side of Jimmy before. What do you mean, man?
You're right. You're right, Dan. He's trying to be a bully.
I'm not. Look, I want Bebsy to succeed. I'm very proud of Bebsy's record.
Think because I'm a coward, you can bully me, but you can't.
Oh, look, I don't think that at all, you guys. Come on. He was questioning me. I wasn't questioning him. All right. Let's move on. Okay. Let's move on. We move on to Niners Seahawks. Niners Seahawks is total opened at 54, stayed there the whole time. Seattle opening up at -3, stayed there the whole time. There's been no movement on this Niners Seahawks spot. Niners 4-3, 3-0 on the road. Seahawks 5-1, 3-0 at home. Niners second straight game on the road, coming off handing the Patriots the worst home loss of the Belichick era. Jimmy G, 28-25 for 277 yards, 2 picks. First game against the former team. They outgained the Patriots 467 to 241. San Francisco completely dominated the first half, 23-3 lead, held the ball for 22 minutes and 30 seconds, 301 to 59 advantage in total yards, 4 first downs for the Pats, 18 for the Niners in that first half. Ayuk, 6 catches for 115 yards. Deebo Samuel, 5 catches for 65 yards before leaving the game with a hamstring injury. It just doesn't end for the Niners. Samuel out for at least 2 weeks. Then we go to Jeff Wilson, rush for a career-high 3 touchdowns, 112 yards, ankle injury reserve. James, Tart, Jimmy Ward, Quan Alexander, all questionable. Seahawks made countless mistakes, lost their first game of the season, 37-34 to Arizona. Wilson, 338 yards, 3 touchdowns, passing, ran for 84 yards, threw 3 costly interceptions. They were up 34-24 with 5.5 minutes left. The Seahawks finished with 572 total yards, but gave up 516. No team in league history has allowed more yards through the first 6 games of the season than the 2,875 the Seahawks have allowed. No team has allowed that many yards through the air either, 2,212. Seattle recorded 0 quarterback hits against Murray in 52 passing snaps. Lockett looked great, 15 catches, 20 yards, 3 TDs. Chris Carson, foot sprain. Travis Homer, bruised knee. Both left Sunday's game. Their availability is in question. Backup Carlos Hyde rushed for 68 yards, TD. Then he leaves with a tight hamstring. Cornerback Shaquille Griffin, concussion and a hamstring injury. And then Jamal Adams missed last 3 games with a groin injury. It's a difficult cap here, Bebsy. These teams are so broken. What are you thinking?
That's the sentiment exactly. I don't even know who's playing for the Niners this week. I don't know who's playing for the Seahawks this week. Jeff Wilson Jr. comes out. He's the 4th string running back at the start of the year. He annihilates the Pats defense. He goes down. A few plays later, Deebo Samuel goes down. There's just so many injuries on that offense, and yet they still manage to keep moving the ball. JaMychal Hasty, who's an undrafted rookie free agent, comes off the practice squad. He's been carving defenses up. Now, there's a chance that Tevin Coleman comes back, and I'm not high on Tevin Coleman at this stage in his career, but at least he can spell Hasty. McKinnon has dead legs, so they can't move it there, but Seattle's run defense is terrible. Seattle's pass defense is terrible. I just don't think that Seattle's going to be able to stop San Francisco, even if it's Coleman and Hasty, even if it's just Hasty. A huge blow is losing Samuel. You see the way that guy opens things up because, quite frankly, Deebo Samuel runs like a truck. He runs right into people. I kind of woke up a bit this week, but the injury report is wild on both sides of the ball. They may or may not be getting Ward and Tart back this week. It's just really, really hard. And then, Seattle's thin at running back now. This is just it's hard to say because the injury report for both teams is pretty wild right now. The one thing is these teams always play each other tight. Seattle plays teams tight. So the lean is the Niners because of how close this game will likely be, but it's a really, really tough call.
It's so tricky to make an educated angle-based bet on this. Michael Irvalina asking about team props. Niners are at 24.5. Seahawks are at 28.5. And then first half team props. Niners are at 10.5. Seahawks are at 13.5. What do you think of this total sitting up at 54, Bebsy?
I mean, look, if you were to just isolate other games with both of these offenses, that would be an easy play. But again, these two teams hate each other. Their recent history against each other, they play very hard. I think Seattle's awful defense will step up. And I think San Francisco's consistent, in spite of all their injuries, defense will play tight too. I think, if anything, you could get a surprise under here, but it doesn't appeal to me because we both know Seattle's defense is brutal and their offense is great. So most of their games have gone up and over.
It's the hardest game on the board for me.
And San Francisco's defense, I don't know if it's Robert Saleh's strategy, but they struggle so hard against mobile quarterbacks. So what they did last week very well against Cam Newton was they didn't try and get after him. They tried to hem him in. The only difference is when you hem in Cam Newton and he uses his arm, it doesn't work for him. But when you hem in Russell Wilson and let him pick defenses apart, he does exactly that.
Stay away spot for you, Bebsy.
It's a stay away spot. There's too many uncertainties with injuries and just unpredictability with these teams. But I do believe this is a game that comes down to the wire. I feel like the last team with the ball in their hands wins this game.
If you find out that there's no Shaquille Griffin, there's no Jamal Adams, there's no Chris Carson, then do you pull the trigger on the Niners?
Yeah, maybe. But we've seen the Niners we saw the Niners get pumped by Miami a couple weeks ago. We saw the Niners lose to Philadelphia. Now, again, a lot of that had to do with the specific matchup within the game. And the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo should not have played in that Miami game. He wasn't healthy. They lost partly because of that. But look, Verrett has been incredible. Mosley has looked good coming back. It's just they now kind of have a decent looking secondary, but they still don't have any pass rush right now. They have more of a pass rush than Seattle, but they're still without some serious studs.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that. All right, we move on to the Sunday nighter. And we have no line right now. No line. Nut Flush Allen, please say hi to Skylar for me. Man, what a great family you have, Nut Flush. Please send my love to them all and say hi to Skylar for me. All right, let's move on to Cowboys Eagles. No line, no total. We will be doing that. We'll guess how we see things throughout this breakdown. Cowboys 2-5, 0-3 on the road. Eagles 2-4-1, 1-2-1 at home. 51 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 10 miles per hour in Philly on Sunday. Washington's defense dominated the Cowboys. 6 sacks, forced fumble. That became a safety. 25-3 blowout. Dalton was on the run all game long before he got knocked out of the game from a hit from Bostic. McCarthy was rightfully upset that none of the Cowboys came to Dalton's defense. I mean, that's a sign of a team. And I know that Dalton's hasn't been their starting quarterback for long, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, it just shows how deflated that team is. They have no identity. They have no backbone. They have come out. They've played bad all year. Their offense was playing good until not just Dak went down, but half of their line is gone. And look, I'm mad at myself for not playing what my logic and my gut said, which was just bet Washington. They have a killer front seven, and they're going to eat up that Dallas front. They couldn't block for Dalton. They couldn't run the ball. I'm angry at myself that I didn't make that play. Dallas is just beat up. They're deflated. They're infighting. No, if this line opens at 10, I'm probably still going to go Eagles here. The Eagles have a great, and I don't care who's at quarterback. That's the only reason this isn't posted, because they don't know if Dalton's going to play or not. But it doesn't matter. If they can't block that Eagles front, which they shouldn't be able to, then the Eagles are just going to smash them. So Dallas is a disaster right now. And it's a combination injuries. It's a combination bad coaching hire. There's just so much infighting on that team. It's ugly. They've obviously, shipping out Griffin, they've conceded that they're not going to do anything this year. If anything, they should trade Aldon Smith while they can. That was a nice little pickup for them, but I don't know. You can't put any stock in Dallas right now. They're awful.
I'd rather see Ben DiNucci in there than Dalton at this point.
I don't think you can blame Dalton for what's happened there.
No, I agree, but maybe get a little bit of life with this.
Something. You're right. Something. Anything.
So they had an entirely different left side of the offensive line. Brandon Knight and Zach Martin. Brandon Knight with knee injury, Zach Martin concussion out. Then Van Der Esch and Aldon Smith came back, and they need them so badly. Aldon Smith's been so good this year, and then they both have injury scares in the third quarter. The Eagles are on extra rest off 22-21 win at home over the Giants. Wentz, 11-point deficit in the final 7 minutes. Say what you want about Wentz, but he's shown a lot of heart this year. Threw for 359 yards, 2 TDs, ran for a score, was sacked 3 times. He's getting destroyed out there. Sua Opeta became the 10th offensive lineman to start for the Eagles, the 4th to make his first NFL start. And then they're just beat up. Deshaun Jackson is on injured reserve. Lane Johnson has a grade 1 MCL sprain. Defensive tackle Hassan Ridgeway on injured reserve with a biceps injury. Defensive back Greg James, hamstring left in the second quarter. He's questionable. Then you have their safety Kevon Wallace, running back Miles Sanders, wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey, offensive tackle Jack Driscoll, defensive tackle Malik Caxton all questionable, and you have to back them here. I mean, I have no idea usually we can guess what we think the spread's going to open up at. This is a little more difficult. I say if Dalton's healthy, what do you think? Eagles -6?
Oh, I think it's got to be more. I really do. It just, with nothing else with recency bias, Dallas has gotten lit up.
Wow.
I think it's more. I think it's.
Nick B said it's at 7.5 at DraftKings. Let me see if I can find one. Sorry, keep going, Bebsy. Sorry.
I was just going to say it's got to be at least 7.5. It's got to be over a touchdown for sure.
Yeah, it's up. It's there's -7s and there's -7.5s. I didn't realize it was up.
I mean, look, Dallas was bad, and then they started infighting, and there's players calling out the coach already. And I mean, obviously you can't call out the owner, but that's who they need to call out.
Oh, without a doubt.
This is all on Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones had the world by the balls when he had Jimmy Johnson running things, and his ego got in the way, and he has gotten in the way ever since. The Cowboys, for how much they're America's team and how much publicity they get and how many people love the Cowboys have been a dog shit franchise for over 2 decades. They've been terrible, and it's all Jerry's fault. It all starts at the top. And, they can finger point within the locker room all you want, but until Jerry gets out of his own way, they're not going to play well.
This total was expected to come out at around 43.5. Are we able to make any find any angles without knowing who's starting a quarterback for the Cowboys?
No, because I really don't think it matters. I think the bigger question is if Zach Martin plays. Zach Martin, you could kind of, and I said this before the last week, if he doesn't play, I realize he's only a guard, but he's the last bit of glue that holds that offensive line together. And without him, they were just a pushover. So if Zach Martin is still out, which I haven't heard he was in concussion protocol, so I don't know if he's back this week.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
And if he's not back, it's just going to be more of the same thing. The Eagles have a very good defensive line. Say what you will about the rest of that team, their defensive line is incredibly talented, and they will punish whoever's playing quarterback. It doesn't matter if it's Dalton or Danucci. Obviously, it's a little better if it's Dalton, but this is trouble.
Well, what do you think of the Eagles' first half?
What do we got?
That's not available, but there are some full games available. But you have to that hook on the 7 is a little uncomforting. If you could get a 7, which you can, supposedly you can at DraftKings, BetMGM, FanDuel. BetMGM is the only one hanging the 7. Sorry, but that first half Eagles feels like a look that I would like to pursue once it's available. Do you want to lock in the lone 7 on the board, Bebsy? You can wait.
Like I should. They're just so bad. The Dallas is so bad. It's hard to not take this.
Yeah. Alvin Smith says we're overthinking this. Just bet Philly, go to sleep, drink more beer.
Yeah, I think we are too. This Dallas team is a mess. And their defense was horrendous before. We know that. And now their offense has joined the dog shit boat that the defense is in. So yeah. You know what? Lock me in. Eagles at -7 here.
Eagles -7. That's at BetMGM. So Bebsy, Eagles -7, -110. BetMGM. It's funny. Last week I had so many bets and I had all this money invested, and this week it's going to take a lot more time for me to add in. I think I've only doubled up on that total, on one total at this point. All right, there's the Sunday nighter. Now let's move on to the Monday nighter. Buccaneers, Giants. Buccaneers 5-2, 2-2 on the road, going up against the Giants 1-6, 1-2 at home. 42 Fahrenheit clear, 11 miles per hour is the wind. Brady 33 of 45 for 369 yards, 4 TDs in Tampa's dismantling of the Raiders 45-20 in Vegas. He now has 15 TD passes, 1 pick in the past 4 games. He connected with Gronk second straight week. Fournette runs 11 times for 50 yards. Jones 13 times for 34 yards. Scotty Miller continues being just a monster. 6 catches for 109 yards, 1 TD. Godwin 9 of 88, 1 TD. And then he undergoes surgery for a fractured left index finger. He's expected to miss week 8 against the Giants. We don't know if it'll be more than that. Giants are on extra rest. They blew an 11-point lead in the final 7 minutes of the Thursday nighter, losing 22-21 to the Eagles. Daniel Jones goes 20 of 30 for 187 yards, 2 Ds, 1 interception. He also ran 4 times for 92 yards. And our man, Dutch Boy Fresh, wanted to take Daniel Jones' touchdown at plus 425, and we were talking about it, and I was like, Dutch, I just don't see it. Because Daniel Jones he's run for a touchdown in 1 game. In a 17-game career, 1 game, and he ran for 2 touchdowns. I was like, come on, I just don't think you're getting big enough odds. I was like, don't do it. And then, sure enough, there's DJ running to the Graceland, and I was like, oh no, I screwed my friend over so badly. And then he trips up like a little clown. Sterling Shepard returns from a turf toe injury, 6 catches for 59 yards in a TD. The offense looks so much stronger when Shepard's out there. Gallman, 10 rushes for 34 yards, 1 TD. Deion Lewis, 3 rushes for 23 yards. Devontae Freeman, ankle injury, and he was working on the side at practice today. He wasn't working with the team. Could be just all Gallman on Monday night. Safety Adrian Colbert, cornerback Darnay Holmes, both were wearing their yellow jerseys, not with the group. And here we go, Bebsy, Monday nighter. We have 6 days to break this game down. Tampa Bay opens up at -10. That moves to 10.5. This total opens up at 47.5 and moves to 46. Bebsy, Monday nighter, Bucs Giants, take it away.
What is the weather going to be?
Clear, gorgeous.
Oh, good, fantastic. Look, I don't know if I like the full game because I don't know if I love that many points. But can we get a look at the first half spread, because that might be more enticing for me. It's too many points full game for me, especially in a Monday night game. And I'm not putting a ton of stock into the win over the Raiders last week. You know, it's tough when your entire O-line can't play, but who's taunting the chat?
I've got a couple first halves for you. Let's see if Bet365 can beat it, because they've beaten it a few times, and they do beat it. The best line I can give you is at Bet365. Oh, actually, PointsBet is the same. -6.5 and -110.
I like Tampa to be up by a touchdown at the half. I think I can get into that. But I don't know if I love the full game here.
That makes a lot of sense. First half, -6.5, -110 at Bet365. That makes a lot of sense. I think that if we think that the Bucs are going to be up by at least a touchdown, do we have interest in their team totals, at least first half? The first half Bucs team total is at, and I expect this is one of those totals that will just go up and up throughout the week, 13.5. It's heavily juiced to the over at -138.
Now the Bucs are without Godwin, but is there many other things? Is there any other reason why we might worry about them being able to move the ball in the first half? I mean, this Giants defense is not a good defense.
No, I
want that. I just want to see if I'm getting a little overzealous here.
Wow, and Michael Irvin thinking about Antonio Brown might be there. I wonder if he starts in Godwin's absence. There's nothing that's going to stop them. I think. Say what, Bibsy?
Antonio Brown's suspended for the first 8 games. This is week 8. He can't play.
Okay, good call. Still, though, they have so much. And when I was breaking down the catches in that last game, it was just they have so many weapons still, even without Godwin. Now Godwin helps enormously. Why don't we just take a quick look at what happened in that last game here? And it was against the Raiders team that was kind of a mess, but they had you're right, because Mike Evans only caught 2 passes for 37 yards. So it'll be Scotty Miller and Mike Evans. Then you'll have Gronk. And then there's, Tyler Johnson, Cameron Brate, Tanner Hudson, but Mike Evans will have to be a bigger piece of the puzzle. I think this first half makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I like first half here.
Well, I'm going to join, but I'm also going to join on the over 13.5. There's no way that stays at 13.5.
No, I think I like both of those as well.
I absolutely agree. All right, so we're doubling up there on the Monday Nighter.
Yes,
Lock
sir.
it in. Lock it in. Okay, and then just out of curiosity, what is that full game team total for the Bucs? 29.5. That's sort of my cutoff, 29.5. And we've seen games like that earlier game against Denver. The Broncos got out to that early lead, and then they didn't push it, controlled the ball. Bebsy, my man, that is the entire NFL card. The entire NFL card. You gave us your best bet in the 1:00 games, and it was the Packers, right?
Yeah, I'm still loving the Pack right now.
Does any of your afternoon action come close to that? Let me remind you of your afternoon action here. Oh man, sorry, my computer's just moving so slow with these notes. We have nothing on Chargers Broncos, and nothing on.
No nut flush, Allen. It is not a White Claw.
You have the team total under 19.5 for the Bears.
That's a spite bet. I don't like that bet at all. I'm doing it to spite you.
I want you to succeed, man.
I want to succeed. I want that bet to hit, but that's my worst bet. When we talk on Sunday and I say, what am I weary about? I'm just going to say that again. I think it's a terrible bet. I'm literally doing this to spite you. That's it.
Slats is saving you the time. He's giving you the Toronto forecast for tomorrow.
Oh, perfect. 11. Ooh, not bad.
Intex says, Jimmy, another great show, even with Bebsy's taunting of the audience.
Who's taunting? I'm just chatting.
Michael Orphelina, I love you, buddy. I love you guys. Thank you so much. All right, let's do a quick review of our action. But truly, we have no show without you guys. Your humor, your insights, everything. You make the show so special, and you inspire us to try harder. And I enjoy doing this show with Bebsy. And now I don't have my Tuesday morning show, so I spend all day. I'm telling you, like at least 8+ hours of actual work preparing all these notes for this show because I really, really, really enjoy it. And also, Bebsy, he's up 13.99 units. He's making us all strive to be better.
AP doesn't like me though. He says you need whale cappers. So
who said that?
APEE.
I
don't know, man. Sorry, I'm not a whale capper.
We'll get whale capper back too, but we need Bebsy. We need as much Bebsy as possible. All right, let's review our action on the card. Nothing for Falcons, Panthers. And follow both of us on Twitter because there are additions that can be made. So nothing on the Thursday nighter. But for me, if they announce McCaffrey's going to play, I may move on the other side and see if there's a 3.5 available for the Falcons. Bebsy gets his card started with the Colts -2.5. And you didn't pull the trigger on the under 50. I've got extra asterisks there because I'm close to doing it. Still just Colts -2.5 for you.
Yes, sir. I feel that under as well, but not jumping out at me, especially because I've already got one dodgy play on the board.
Packers double up at home against the Vikings. First half -3.5. He's paying the juice for that. -129. And Bet Rivers -6.5 at -114. Oh, funny stuff. Funny stuff coming from the chat. Okay.
I'll take that, Jake. I will take that. Top 50 is good for me. I could be anywhere in the top 50.
There's only 8 of us. 8 or 9 of us.
Yeah, but that still puts me in the top 50. So
Without a
Jake's
doubt.
not wrong.
Hey, I don't see anybody with a better NFL record anywhere than what you have. Patriots, Bills, you are off. And then next up, we have the Titans, Bengals. And I doubled up on the total first half full game. You jumped on the full game total and the Titans -6 and -105. Then we move on to the Raiders, Browns. I'm going to be looking at Josh Jacobs prop, but there's no move from either of us. And then Jets, Chiefs, no move from either of us. Then we move on to Rams, Dolphins. No move. This is the first week that Bebsy has more action than me. Bebsy is on the Steelers team total over 20.5. And Claypool.
That's killing me right now.
Claypool over is a possible prop that you might be adding, right, Bebsy?
Yeah, I got to look into the Claypool props, but I feel like he's going to go off this week. I'm just laughing at Pobody's Nerfix saying I'm becoming a WWE character. Am I becoming a heel for this show?
The Chargers, Broncos, the Herbert rush prop, I find interesting.
You know what I hate about the chats, brother? You're all a bunch of bags of shit. That's what I hate about you guys in the chat.
That's my new persona on here.
Bunch of bags of shit. Bears team total under 19.5 and -120 is a Bebsy spectacular. Niners, Seahawks, we are off. And then we have action on the I take that back. I'm going to move on the Eagles first half. Bebsy's already moved on the Eagles -7. Full game. And then to put a bow on the card, we are on the Buccaneers. -6.5 first half and team total over 13.5 for both of us. And there is our entire NFL card. Bebsy, hell of a job, my man. But truly, we got nothing without all these great cappers. Pie Guy Pepper, Brandon Lee, P, Jake Botello, Michael Ervalina, Cat Thief 99, Nutflush Allen, Po Buddies Nerfict, Nilo, Viper. What a great group. Steel Curtain, Randy Brand, Intex, Mr. Fun Monk, Dennis Garcia, Matthew Edwards, Mark Unkefer. Thank you guys so much. Slats45, Adonis Iverson, Dizzy Rothstein, DJ AK, Bebsy. Any last words before we put a bow on this bad boy?
You guys are all beauties. I'm sorry I'm teasing the chat about the weather. What can I say? I'm a coward. But I won't let you push me around. You guys are great. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Literally every last one of you is a beauty.
And we will see you guys Sunday, 11 a.m. kickoff show. Bebsy and I will be back in action. Get paid in full. Thank you for watching.